You see, the truth is love doesn't just happen because of chemistry or attraction. That's where it starts, sure, but that's not where it stays. What makes a man fall in love forever isn't your looks, your laughter, or even the way you make him feel. It's that one boundary you set that tells him exactly who you are, what you deserve, and what you won't tolerate. When a woman has that one boundary, it changes the game. It's the moment she stops chasing approval and starts standing in her worth. That boundary says, you don't get all of me until you show me you can handle all of me. It's not about playing games. It's about showing you've grown past the stage of being impressed by potential. You're no longer moved by words, you're moved by consistency. And when a man feels that energy, he either levels up or leaves, and either outcome works in your favor. That one boundary is called self-respect. When you carry it, you don't have to demand loyalty. It naturally shows up. You don't have to question where you stand, because a man knows he can't come halfway with someone who knows her value. You become the woman he can't forget, not because you gave him everything, but because you didn't. You made him earn it. You made him show up. You made him see that love is not a transaction, it's a standard. See, most men are used to access without effort. They meet women who overgive, overprove, and overstay in situations that drain them. But when he meets a woman who draws that invisible line and says, you can't talk to me like that, or you don't get my time if you don't respect it, something happens inside him. He realizes he's in the presence of someone different, someone he can't manipulate, someone who doesn't operate out of fear of losing him because she's not afraid to be alone. That kind of boundary doesn't push a real man away. It pulls him closer. It challenges him to become worthy of staying. And here's the part most people miss. When you keep that boundary, you're not just teaching him how to love you. You're teaching him how to love himself better too. Because a real connection isn't built on how much you give. It's built on how much both people grow. A man who loves you forever doesn't do it because you made his life easier. He does it because your strength, your boundaries, your standards, they made his life better. You showed him what love with maturity looks like. So stop fearing that your standards will scare a man off. The only ones who run are the ones who were never ready to stay. The right one will look at your boundaries and see home because they create structure, safety, and respect. The very foundation that makes love last. That's the boundary that makes a man fall in love, not for a season, not for a moment, but for a lifetime. A man falls in love forever with a woman who sets clear, unshakable boundaries because boundaries define value. When a woman knows what she stands for, what she allows, and what she refuses to accept, she instantly separates herself from everyone else in his life. She's no longer just another option or distraction. She becomes the standard. Men are wired to respect structure, to value what doesn't come easily. And when a woman's energy tells him, I won't bend just to be chosen, it sends a powerful message. It shows strength, confidence, and emotional maturity, qualities that inspire commitment, not curiosity. When she sets those lines, she doesn't have to raise her voice or explain her worth. Her presence already does that. He realizes this isn't someone he can play with or half commit to. She knows her worth and won't lower her price just because someone can't afford it. Boundaries don't push men away. They filter them. A woman with no boundaries attracts confusion, but a woman with them attracts clarity. She becomes magnetic because she doesn't operate from desperation. She moves with calm certainty, knowing she doesn't need to chase love. It finds her when it's genuine. That unshakable energy pulls the right kind of man in, not because she's perfect, but because she's consistent. Men crave that sense of certainty. They may chase excitement, but they stay for peace. And peace comes from a woman who has control over herself, not control over others. When she knows what she will and will not tolerate, she sets the emotional tone of the relationship. She teaches him through her actions how to treat her without ever needing to lecture or demand. When a man sees a woman protecting her peace, saying no when something doesn't align with her values, choosing distance instead of drama, he begins to trust her strength. That trust turns into respect, and respect turns into love. Because real men don't fall for chaos, they fall for stability wrapped in confidence. They fall for women who can walk away, who don't beg, who don't settle. That kind of energy isn't cold, it's powerful. It tells him this woman isn't moved by pressure or fear. She's moved by purpose. And once he experiences that, he knows he's dealing with someone rare every time she upholds a boundary. She builds silent attraction. He starts to see that her love isn't cheap, her time isn't free, and her loyalty isn't automatic. He realizes that access to her heart is something to be earned, and that realization awakens something primal in him. It makes him want to prove himself worthy, not because she demands it, but because she naturally commands it through her self-respect. That's how a man truly falls, not for the woman who gives everything too soon, but for the one who holds something sacred back until he shows up right. That kind of love becomes unforgettable because it's built on admiration, not obligation, and that's what makes it last forever. Self-respect is the ultimate boundary that attracts lasting love because it sets the tone for every interaction a woman has with a man. When a woman carries herself with self-respect, she doesn't need to announce her standards or beg for better treatment. Her energy does that for her. It's in how she speaks, how she walks away when something doesn't align, and how she never sacrifices her dignity just to keep someone interested. A man feels that difference immediately because self-respect isn't something that can be faked. It radiates from a deep understanding that love isn't about proving worth, but protecting peace. When a woman honors herself, she teaches others how to honor her too, and that's what draws a man and beyond attraction. It earns his respect. A woman with self-respect becomes unforgettable because she represents strength in a world where many people confuse self-sacrifice with love. She doesn't allow attention to replace affection, and she doesn't confuse effort with intention. She watches patterns, not promises, and she walks away from anything that costs her peace. That quiet confidence drives a man to step up. He knows he can't come to her with half measures or excuses. He feels the need to bring his best self forward, not out of fear of losing her, but out of admiration for who she is. That's the kind of woman who inspires growth in a man because her self-respect challenges him to rise to her level rather than dragging her down to his comfort zone. When a woman respects herself, she stops negotiating her worth. She doesn't allow disrespect to slide just because she has feelings. She doesn't stay in situations that diminish her. That unshakable sense of self creates a natural boundary that separates what's real from what's temporary. A man may meet many women who are beautiful, funny, or kind, but when he meets one who truly respects herself, he feels something different: stability, maturity, and authenticity. It gives him the space to feel safe enough to be vulnerable. Because her strength doesn't threaten him, it grounds him. He knows she won't lose herself in him, and that makes him want to stay close to her even more. Self-respect also changes the way love feels. Instead of trying to fill a void, it creates a partnership built on mutual admiration. The woman who respects herself doesn't need constant validation. She's already whole. That wholeness makes her magnetic because real men are drawn to peace, not neediness. When she carries that energy, she attracts relationships that reflect it: steady, healthy, and intentional. A man sees that she's not looking for completion. She's looking for alignment. That's why self-respect becomes the foundation of lasting love. It's not about perfection or pride. It's about protecting the value of what she brings to the table. When a man encounters a woman who loves herself enough to walk away from anything that dishonors her, he doesn't just fall for her beauty or her charm. He falls for her strength, her discipline, and her peace. Boundaries separate mature love from emotional dependency because they create space for both people to grow without losing themselves in the process. When a woman understands this, she stops confusing attachment with connection. She realizes that love isn't about constant access. It's about mutual respect. Boundaries define where one person ends and the other begins, and that's what keeps the relationship balanced. Without them, emotions take over, and love becomes a cycle of overachieving, resentment, and confusion. A mature kind of love doesn't come from clinging tighter. It comes from two individuals choosing each other freely, not out of need, but out of alignment. That kind of love lasts because it's rooted in strength, not survival. When there are no boundaries, love becomes one-sided. One person starts to give more, tolerate more, and lose themselves trying to keep the other happy. It might feel romantic at first, but over time, it turns heavy. Emotional dependency disguises itself as love. It makes you believe that you can't function without the other person, that their presence defines your peace. But true love doesn't drain you, it supports you. Boundaries protect that truth. They remind you that your happiness, your identity, and your emotional stability belong to you, not to someone else. When a man sees a woman who can love deeply but still stand firmly in her individuality, he feels safe. He respects her balance because it shows she's not loving from fear, but from choice. Mature love understands that space doesn't mean distance. It means trust. It means both people have lives, goals, and emotions outside of the relationship, and that's healthy. Boundaries allow love to breathe instead of suffocating under constant emotional pressure. When a woman can say no without guilt, when she can ask for time to recharge, when she doesn't abandon her own priorities to please him, she builds a foundation of mutual respect. That balance draws a man closer because it makes him feel that he's with someone who values herself and him equally. There's no neediness, no chasing, no emotional roller coaster, just a calm kind of love that grows stronger because both partners know where they stand. A relationship without boundaries turns into emotional chaos, but one built with them becomes peaceful and lasting. It's the difference between needing someone to fill a void and choosing someone to walk beside you. When love matures, both people understand that protecting their own peace protects the relationship too. Boundaries become a silent language of self-worth. They say, I love you, but I also love me. That message doesn't create distance, it creates security. A man falls deeply in love with a woman who has that kind of emotional clarity because it shows him that she's not trying to lose herself in love, she's trying to build something real. That's the kind of connection that grows stronger with time because it's based on two complete people who understand that love isn't about possession, it's about partnership. A real man values the woman who makes him earn access and effort because it awakens something inside him that simple attraction never could. When a woman doesn't give everything away too quickly, her time, her energy, her body, or her heart, she teaches him that her presence is a privilege, not an entitlement. That difference changes the entire dynamic. Men are natural pursuers by design, and when he meets a woman who knows her worth, he feels the challenge that makes him rise to his potential. He recognizes that this isn't a woman he can impress with empty words or temporary attention. She's someone who requires substance, patience, and proof. And the more he realizes how rare that is, the more invested he becomes in showing her that he's serious. When a woman sets the tone by requiring effort, it filters out inconsistency. It makes her world smaller but safer. She doesn't have to question if a man truly wants her, because only the ones who do will stay long enough to prove it. That kind of standard doesn't come from pride. It comes from self-awareness. She knows what she brings to the table, so she doesn't rush to give someone a seat who hasn't earned it. And that confidence becomes magnetic. A man who's emotionally ready for something real won't see her standards as a barrier. He'll see them as a map, a guide showing him how to love her properly, how to meet her energy, and how to respect her time. The ones who only seek convenience will fall away, but the one who values connection will lean in. When she doesn't respond to pressure but responds to consistency, it sends a clear message. It tells him that access to her life must be matched with effort from his. Every unanswered call to action, every boundary she maintains builds silent attraction. She doesn't need to prove she's loyal or loving. Her calm detachment proves she's not desperate. That composure makes a man see her differently. He starts to understand that if he doesn't put in the work, he'll lose something rare, and that realization becomes his motivation. It's not manipulation. It's emotional maturity. It's teaching him through action that love isn't instant gratification. It's investment. Men respect what they have to work for. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about staying true to your standards. The woman who requires effort becomes unforgettable because she stands out in a world where so many rush to give everything away just to feel wanted. Her patience shows strength. Her boundaries show self-control. Her silence shows that she won't compete for attention because she knows what kind of energy she deserves. That calm confidence draws him in deeper because it's rare and grounding at the same time. When a man finally earns that kind of woman's heart, he doesn't take it lightly. He values it, protects it, and honors it because he knows how much it took for her to trust him enough to let him in. Firm boundaries inspire growth, respect, and emotional safety because they create structure in relationships that allows both people to show up as their best selves. When a woman sets firm boundaries, she's not being difficult or demanding. She's setting the standard for how she deserves to be treated and how she intends to treat others. Those limits aren't walls. They're guidelines that protect her peace and ensure mutual respect. A man who values growth recognizes this as strength, not resistance. He understands that without clear boundaries, a relationship becomes unpredictable, full of assumptions, confusion, and unspoken resentment. Boundaries give love direction. They tell both partners what's acceptable, what's not, and where the line between love and self-betrayal lies. When a woman holds her boundaries, she teaches through her actions rather than her words. She doesn't allow disrespect to slide, and she doesn't lower her expectations to keep someone comfortable. Instead, she communicates what she needs calmly, clearly, and consistently. That level of emotional clarity inspires respect. A man starts to see that she's not just reacting, she's responding with wisdom. That kind of energy changes the tone of a relationship because it builds safety. It tells him he can be open, honest, and vulnerable without fear of being judged or manipulated. Her firmness doesn't scare him, it grounds him. It shows that love can be strong and soft at the same time, structured and free all at once. Growth happens when both people are held accountable, and firm boundaries make that possible. They prevent emotional chaos by making sure each person takes responsibility for their actions. When a man crosses a line and she addresses it with composure, it challenges him to reflect, adjust, and evolve. That's how relationships mature. It's not through avoiding conflict, but through handling it with grace. A woman who enforces her boundaries teaches emotional intelligence by example. She doesn't have to raise her voice to be heard. Her consistency speaks louder than any argument. And over time, that consistency builds trust because a man learns that her words have meaning and her limits have purpose. Emotional safety thrives in environments where boundaries are respected. When both partners know what behaviors won't be tolerated, it eliminates guessing games and power struggles. It creates an atmosphere where both can relax and be authentic. A man feels more secure around a woman who knows herself because her boundaries remove the fear of unpredictability. He knows where he stands, and that stability allows love to deepen. Firm boundaries also protect affection. They keep love from turning into obligation. They remind both partners that love is a choice renewed daily, not a demand made out of guilt or dependency. When a woman stands firm in her values and enforces them with grace, she doesn't just protect her heart, she elevates the entire relationship. A man who experiences that level of strength and emotional intelligence begins to mirror it, learning that love without boundaries is chaos, but love with structure becomes freedom. The right man sees your standards not as rejection, but as home, because real love recognizes structure as safety, not restriction. When a woman carries herself with strong standards, it may intimidate the wrong men, but to the right one, it feels like peace. He doesn't see her boundaries as limitations. He sees them as guidance. Her standards tell him she knows who she is, what she wants, and what kind of love she's willing to give and receive. That clarity draws him in because it eliminates the confusion that comes with games and mixed signals. The right man doesn't want chaos. He wants to know where he stands. And when she moves with that kind of purpose, he feels secure enough to be vulnerable, to open up, and to stay. A woman's standards are not about control. They're about alignment. She's not trying to change anyone. She's trying to attract what already matches her energy. The right man respects that because he's also done his work. He's not looking for someone to complete him, but for someone to complement him. When he meets a woman who refuses to lower her standards for temporary attention, it reassures him that she's not moved by the superficial. She's patient enough to wait for something real. That patience shows him that her love will be intentional, steady, and loyal. Her standards become a reflection of her emotional maturity, and he feels safe knowing that her commitment will never come from loneliness. It will come from choice. To the right man, a woman's standards create a sense of trust.